Okay, hang on. So I read this several times, and I don't know who Snow White is. It's a cool name. But I read this several times, and I was like, yes, it should make sense. There was a lot of points here that made sense. So I would like to pass this along regarding the attorney. I guess it was Lady Justice or something that came up on SG's panel. However, she's a very nice lady, and you could tell that she had studied some parts of the law. But, lawyers get things wrong all the time. And there could be a debate regarding some of the stuff that she said. And I read over this post several different times before I decided to share it along. I don't know if Snow White's an attorney or what, but it seems like they know the law. So you have to understand that in America, in the United States, ignorance of the law is no defense. So let's say you do something and you get brought in front of the judge and you say, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was illegal. Ignorance of the law is no defense. So it's up to every American citizen to know the laws. And that's why they're out there for you to read. It's up to every American citizen to know the law. You don't have to be an attorney to know the law. Actually, once you get into law and see how it works, it's pretty simple. If you know how it works, right? If you could think like a judge thinks. So I wanted to share this post, and this, it's not to trash that lawyer. Snow White says, I wasn't very impressed with that lawyer. She was in the comment section. Her arguments were incredibly different. She argued that Robin was not even paid the minimum, implying that Robin could get Molly on the Labor Relations Board complete because she worked so many hours. I tore that argument to shreds by actually figuring out the math of what the job should have been versus what Robin took it upon herself to turn the job into, but by deciding everybody had to be pre-screened. I was able to demonstrate that she was paid just shy of $14 an hour and based on what the work should have been. And we know what the minimum wage is. I was like $9 an hour now. Her second argument in the comment section was that there might be some protected class issues with her being a disabled woman over 40. Well, that's where you have to bring in the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that's a totally different part of law. I went through why renovating that house to accommodate Robin would not have been a reasonable accommodation. And even if court might decide that it was, they don't have the minimum numbers of employee either collectively or independently. Right, see, the EEOC only recognizes you if you have 30 plus employees. So that means you don't get the same benefits and you don't get the same rights that some other employers might give you as an employee. I had one guy at a Circle K hire Nicole, and Nicole was doing very well on the register, but she only uses one hand. She doesn't use the other hand. She's just real fast with the one hand because of her cerebral palsy. And after he worked her, he sent her home crying about 4 hours, and he flat told her that the arm would be a problem. And so she was crying, so I went back up there, and I said, well, what's she doing, the job? And he said, oh yeah, she's doing the job fine. He said, but the arm, he said, that's a problem. We don't want them to see that. This guy was from some other country. But we filed the EEOC on it, and they told us that since he had a limited amount of employees, there's not a fucking thing we could do about it. Nothing. At will employment. She then argued that Molly did herself in by demonstrating that Robin was without a doubt an employee. Again, I ripped her argument to shreds by proving that she absolutely was an independent contractor. There's a difference between an employee and a subcontractor. Big difference. That was demonstrated first and foremost by the fact that she received a flat contractual payment each week instead of a wage from which she assorted taxes would have been withheld. Bam! That's good. The fact that Marissa paid her a salary, a flat wage, it's a salary, shows how Marissa saw the relationship. And the fact that she expected that wage without questioning why taxes weren't deducted shows that Robin to defend that relationship as an independent contractor. I then pointed out that Robin did all of her work independently, meaning she bought her own planner, she used her own computer, she worked out of her own home, and she even used her own cell phone. All these actions are the actions of an independent contractor, not an employee of a business. Bam! That's pretty tight. When I questioned her, instead of replying a comment, she did the cowardly thing and actually deleted her entire assessment of the case because she knew she was going to go on a panel, and now she was going to make entirely different arguments because she knew she couldn't make the arguments I had just destroyed unless she had a damn good rebuttal. Bam! The last argument she raised was that Robin could go after her for intentional infliction of emotional distress based on Molly firing her live on the air. But I had suggested to her that the courts would probably look at the cases as if Robin wasn't coming to the process with clean hands. Marissa didn't randomly go public. She went public after she learned that Robin had been using her Patreon contact information to spread negative insights about Molly and buy her and have it gone public. It required a public response from Molly and Kind. For Robin to have started that ball rolling only to argue that now Marissa has to do things quietly to protect Robin's public reputation seems like a weak argument, particularly when I pointed out that there would be dozens of Patreons who Molly could get to write affidavits about those things that Robin had disclosed to them and disparaging remarks that she had made. I also pointed out she wasn't fired from the scheduling job because of her disability, and that in fact Molly having hired her in the first place shows that Molly does not discriminate against people with disability. She was point blank fired from the contractor role for that cause. Yeah, in order to say she did it because she was disabled, you would have to clearly prove that it was her disability that caused her to lose that salary job. Because I tore up all those arguments apart, she then pushed this idea of Molly having some sort of licensing obligation as a life coach. I didn't hear that part. Because quite frankly, that was the one aspect I really didn't know anything about, so it seems like the lawyer friend leaned into that knowing I couldn't pick that one apart. And the lawyer argued that the idea of it being malicious given what Molly knew of Robin's fragile and emotional state. That she didn't acknowledge that her original assessment of the liabilities, and also to be picked apart so thoroughly by someone who isn't even a lawyer, basically made me question everything that she had offered. Yeah, that pretty. I could have a debate with that lady. Here's the bottom line. As far as, I'm going back to where Molly described some pictures she saw. Nothing is going to happen to Molly for that. I just wanted to share that. And it does say, where I misread some words, it says, please, I do talk to text in most of my posts because of health limitations, so if my spelling is ever wonky, please don't hold me to public ridicule. This woman isn't even an attorney. Have a good day.